All right, let's talk about literary theory. If you've ever felt like it's this super complicated thing that's more confusing than helpful, especially when you're staring down an exam, well, you are in the right place. We're going to take all those complex ideas and turn them into a practical, powerful toolkit you can actually use to get top marks. So let's just dive right in. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not about just memorizing a bunch of names and dates. It's about knowing how to pick up a specific lens, look at a text through it, and come up with a sharp, insightful analysis that really wows the examiners. And that is exactly what we are going to break down step by step. Here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the right mindset for analysis. Then, we'll map out the main groups, the families of theory, you could say. After that, we'll start building our toolkit with 3 essential approaches, one that focuses on the text itself, another on the world around it, and a third on how meaning can be kind of tricky. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a solid strategy for exam day.
Okay, first things first. The real goal here isn't just to know about the theories, it's to use them. Seriously, anyone can summarize a plot. The answers that get the highest marks are the ones that build an argument about how a text works, how it creates meaning. In theory, that's the engine that's going to power your argument. So this is absolutely crucial. For every single tool we're about to talk about, you need to know these 4 things. 1, what does it actually look at? 2, what questions does it ask? 3, what bits of the text does it use for evidence? And 4, the big one, what kind of argument does it let you build? If you can nail these 4 points for each theory, you are golden. Now, I know literary theory can feel like this big, chaotic jungle of confusing names and isms. So to make it simple, we're going to group almost every approach into one of 4 main families. Think of the slide as your bird's eye view, your map of the whole landscape. It makes everything so much easier to navigate. Okay, check this out. This table really organizes everything for us. First, you've got author-centered theories. You know, looking at the writer's life. It's okay for a little context, but you don't want to base your whole argument on it. Then there's text-centered, which is the bedrock of any good close reading. Reader-centered is cool because it helps explain why 2 people can read the same book and get different things from it. But look at that last one, context-centered. That is where the heavy hitters for your exam live. We're talking feminist, post-colonial, all the good stuff. Right, let's get our first tool out of the box. This one is absolutely essential for any kind of close reading, especially with poetry. It's called formalism, and it's all about putting the text itself directly under the microscope. And this definition just hits the nail on the head. A formalist doesn't just ask, so what's this poem about? No, they ask, how does the rhythm, the rhyme scheme, the imagery, and the sentence structure all work together to create a specific feeling or idea? You see the difference? It's a focus on the mechanics, the machinery of the text itself. And here you go, a super practical, exam-ready checklist. When you get a passage, literally just run down this list in your head. Is the rhythm weird? Why? Is there an image that keeps popping up? What's that about? Who's telling the story? And how close are they to the action? These are the details that become the hard evidence for a really strong formalist argument. Okay, tool number 2. So we've looked inside the text. Now we're going to zoom out and look at the world around it. These next approaches work from a simple idea. Texts aren't created in a vacuum. They are always shaped by the society they come from, by ideas about power, gender, and culture. So, when you're using a feminist lens, you want to show the examiner that you get these big ideas. The key concept here is that gender isn't just a biological fact. It's a set of roles and expectations that society builds. And literature, well, it's a fantastic place to see those ideas being either reinforced or totally challenged. So what do you actually look for on the page? Here's your list. Look at how men and women are expected to behave. Pay close attention to settings, like the home. Is it a safe haven or a prison? Who gets to speak their mind and who gets shut down? These are the concrete details that will fuel your feminist analysis. Now for our next context-based tool, post-colonial criticism. And the point here is so important. Colonialism wasn't just about armies and conquering land. It was also a war of ideas, a battle fought in books, in schools, and through language itself. This theory is all about analyzing how that cultural power works in a text. This side-by-side comparison is incredibly helpful, right? It just makes the distinct focus of each tool crystal clear. They're both looking at power, yeah? But feminist criticism really zooms in on gender and patriarchy, often in domestic settings. Post-colonial criticism, on the other hand, is looking at the bigger picture of colonial power, things like racial stereotypes and the power dynamics of language. All right, let's grab our third and maybe most advanced tool from the kit. Now, don't let the name intimidate you. Post-structuralism and deconstruction aren't about destroying meaning. They're actually a really powerful way to analyze texts that are messy, complex, and just refuse to give you one single simple answer.
This quote pretty much sums it all up. The core idea here is that words are slippery. A great piece of writing often says more than one thing at the same time. It can even contradict itself. And your job as the critic isn't to solve the contradiction, but to explore it. I know, deconstruction can feel a bit abstract. So here's a simple 3-step recipe that makes it totally concrete and safe for an exam. Step 1. Find a pair of opposites in the text, like good versus evil. Step 2. Show where the text seems to say, yep, good is definitely better than evil. Step 3, and this is the clever part, find another spot in the text where that neat little hierarchy gets all messed up. And hey, you can bring in the big-name thinkers without getting lost in the weeds. If you want to use Barth, just make the simple argument that a text's meaning comes from its language, not just what the author was trying to say. To use Foucault, you can argue that the text is part of a discourse, a whole system of language that controls what we think is normal or true. So, we've built our toolkit, we have our instruments. Now for the most important part of all, your strategy. In an exam, you don't have time to use every single tool. You have to be smart. You have to be a technician and choose the right tool for the job.
Please, please remember this. The goal is not to show off how many theories you know by name-dropping them. The goal is to do a deep, convincing analysis using 1 or 2 approaches that are a perfect fit for the passage you've been given. It's all about quality over quantity, always.
And here's how you make that choice when the clock is ticking. Think of this as your diagnostic chart. Does the passage have really dense, tricky language? Grab your formalist and post-structuralist tools. Is it all about women in the home? Feminist criticism is your go-to. A clash of cultures? Post-colonialism, for sure. And if the text just seems to be arguing with itself, well, that is a perfect job for deconstruction. So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. These theories are not religions you have to believe in. They are analytical tools. You pick them up, you use them to take a text apart, see how it works, and then you build a really sophisticated argument about what it all means. And there you have it. You're not just a reader anymore. You are a critic, and you're armed with a powerful set of instruments. So the only question left is, which text are you going to unlock first?